So in my previous video talking about Kim Kardashian, I mentioned that we had more than just one thing in common. And again, I'm going to preface this by saying it's your body, it's your choice. I'm not judging anyone for having cosmetic procedures done. I would be the last person to judge, seeing as I've clearly had surgery myself. But I'm also about full transparency, self-love, and not falling prey to the societal pressures of our unrealistic beauty ideals. Now, this might seem a little hypocritical considering I myself have had cosmetic surgery. Wouldn't that mean I'm actually part of the problem? The comment section on my previous video proved quite polarizing. So let's do it. Grab a cup of tea, get cozy, while I come clean about my cosmetic surgery. So in that video, I showed my DEXA scan from 2015, which is basically just a scan that shows you your body fat to muscle mass ratio and your bone density. And you can tell from that image, it's pretty obvious what cosmetic surgery I've had done. So people have speculated about my chest, but they've also speculated about my lips. Have I had fillers, Botox, or any other procedures to my face? And I'm presuming this is because I tend to look younger than my actual years. I'm 38 years old, by the way. I'm going to be turning 39 in February. But I've only had 2 procedures. One was a breast augmentation in 2015, and then I had my veneers done the following year, just for the top row of my teeth. By the way, that's a whole different story. I've had a lot of trauma to my teeth and my mouth in general from being a kid. So although veneers are cosmetic, it was only part of the medical procedures that I had to have done for my oral health. Anyway, I digress. So that's it. I've never had Botox, I've never had fillers, I've never had anything done to my face or to the rest of my body either. No BBLs or fat freezing or ab etching or whatever else goes on in the cosmetic world now. Nor have I ever taken performance enhancing drugs or illicit substances to change my body either. I competed in bikini fitness back in 2016 and 17, and it was one of the main reasons I left and never competed again, because I simply could not compete alongside people who were taking drugs. So I think it's really important to reiterate here that people get cosmetic procedures done for so many different reasons, and you never know what someone's been through, you never know what their life experience is, so just be kind. With that being said, let's get into the details about my breast augmentation. The implant was high profile, smooth and under the muscle, and that was really what my surgeon told me was appropriate for how I was presenting. I think they were 375 cc, possibly 400, I'm not sure. The surgeon at the time said that while I was on the operating table, he would see what fit my frame best and he'd just go with that. But so I remember it was either 375 or 400. I guess the main reason people are kind of polarized on me having surgery is because I am always preaching about loving your body no matter what shape or size you are, and so it feels a bit incongruent that I'm saying that when I've clearly had surgery. Hopefully this video explaining my self-love journey and how that coincided with me getting surgery might open your eyes and make you see from a different point of view. I started off my fitness journey really tiny. You can watch this video here, my skinny to strong journey, which will explain my background a little bit better. I was really weak and shy and felt super insecure and awkward in my body from a very young age. I got picked on at school for being too skinny. I was called names like stick insect and beanpole. People always questioned if I had an eating disorder because I was so tiny. I didn't. I was just naturally a very tiny person. Those words really kind of shaped how I started thinking and talking about myself. I so desperately wanted to be strong and confident and womanly, but I just felt like a prepubescent boy. And so that was really the start of my self-image issues and not liking my body. In saying that, once I hit puberty, I actually had rather large boobs compared to my small frame, and that's just genetics. At the time, like in the early 2000s and the late 90s, that was like what everyone wanted to look like, but I still hated the way I looked because I didn't want to be skinny. I wanted to be strong, confident and, capable in my body. So before I started my fitness journey, I was actually between a 30E and a 32 double D cup. It sounds like really big boobs, but they weren't like massive. They were just, I guess, big for my frame. And from a really young age, from like the age of about 14, my doctor put me on birth control. So I was taking the pill non-stop for over 10 years. I also ate like just McDonald's, processed food. I drank alcohol. I did not take care of myself at all, way up into my early adult life. I was one of those body types, an ectomorph, who could just eat whatever and do whatever and not gain weight. So then when I started my fitness journey, there was definitely a part of me that wanted to look a certain way, I'm not gonna lie. My partner worked in gyms and he was a PT, and so I was kind of like shown this whole world of bikini fitness competitors and hardcore gym girls, and to me that was like the physical manifestation of what I wanted to feel inside. Aside from that, the main reason I started my health and fitness journey was always putting my health first, because I had so many health issues and I felt so that I didn't really care so much about what I looked like. I wanted to just feel good. I wanted to feel healthy. How I looked to me was like a bit of a bonus on the top. So around that time, I was about mid-20s, I got off birth control, I cleaned up my diet, I stopped drinking alcohol, and I started lifting weights. And over the course of 3 years, my body composition, my body in general just changed massively. I was gaining muscle, I was losing body fat, my shape was changing, I was getting stronger, and that really gave me that confidence boost on my self-love journey. It was really the catalyst. I really felt like I had nailed this whole self-love thing. That first step on your journey of like actually putting yourself first and actually committing to do something that actually scared me. It was one of my biggest fears, was to go into a gym and do a workout. I was just so insecure and felt so stupid. So for me to overcome that fear and have confidence in myself and to trust myself was huge. It's a level of self-discipline and commitment that I had never felt worthy enough to even try before. A lot of people get screwy with the idea of self-love and self-acceptance, that it kind of means that you have to just love yourself as you are, and of course it does. Understanding that this is where you are currently, it is what it is, and unless you fully accept that this is your current situation, you can't change for the better. You can't deny yourself, you can't deny your true desires and needs. And self-love to me isn't like, oh well, I'm this way and I'm unhappy with it and I have to force myself to just like myself like this. That's not what it is. To me, self-love is also self-actualization. It's about evolving and becoming better and becoming the best version. I know it sounds cliche, but becoming the best version of you so that you feel your best, so that you live your most optimal life. It requires you to change, and you can do it on a physical level, but of course it always starts in here first. And I didn't realize that. I thought it came from changing my outer physical appearance. I thought it came from the external, and it doesn't. But that's okay. That's just how my journey turned out. The only reason you want to change the way you look is because you think it's going to make you happy once you get there. But what I've learned is that it always comes down to some sort of unmet need. For me personally, it was the need to feel accepted, because I'd spent the majority of my childhood not being accepted. My limiting belief in the story that I kept telling myself, and that's what obviously played out for me in my life, was that I was not normal, that I was weird or too boyish or whatever it was. And the other thing also for me, which was a huge one, was the need to feel safe. Hello, childhood trauma. Because my limiting belief was that I'm not strong, that I'm helpless. Those two needs that I had really shaped how I thought and felt about myself, and it's no wonder that my self-love journey and the decisions I made leading up to me getting surgery played out the way they did. Now, don't get me wrong, weight training and a healthy lifestyle seem to be on the surface all about vanity, on just the external, what what you look like. And I know that for a lot of people it is. Those were just tools for me to be able to explore and meet those unmet needs, because they did far more for me on an internal level, on a mental level, than they ever did for me on the outside. Yeah, okay, I sculpted a booty and I got some abs, but I mean, that's not what makes you happy. It's how you feel about yourself on the inside that makes the difference. And that's a huge reason why I wrote the Strong Curves Ultimate Guide. There's a whole section on mindset and self-love and the tools that I used on my own journey. So if you want to check that out, the link is in the description box below. And so while I had amazing progress in terms of my health and my fitness, there was still one thing about my body that had changed that I didn't like. My partner, the Viking, he was a personal trainer and he worked in bodybuilding gyms, and he, was friends with competitive bodybuilders, and so I was really immersed in that world. This was way before weight training was cool, right? Fitness influencers didn't exist. This was just like an underground kind of bodybuilding culture, and the girls just all trained like the male bodybuilders. We all trained the same. So it was all just squats and bench press. No one hip thrusted, like no one trained glutes, like that just wasn't a thing. And so every week I would do a body split and I would train my chest, bench pressing and chest pressing and doing chest fly and the pec deck machine. And after a while, as my body composition was changing, and bearing in mind I'm an ectomorph body, so I'm already very lean, and especially up here, this was my leanest part of my body, I started to develop very defined pec muscles. At the same time, my boobs started to deflate. Basically, I was gaining muscle and I was losing breast tissue. For me, it was very noticeable and I didn't like it. In the end, I went from like a double D cup to maybe a B cup, and I was left with very deflated boobs, a lot of saggy skin, and I didn't feel comfortable wearing strappy tops or bikinis, and I became very self-conscious of it. And this is something that the majority of female fitness influencers go through. Most girls lose their boobs when they get into health and fitness. So boob jobs are more common than you think, especially if they start off very lean already like I did. And the thing is that you can sculpt every single muscle on your body. You can get a defined back and toned arms and abs and shapely legs and a pert butt, but you cannot do anything about your boobs because your boobs are made of fat and you can't train fat. And up until then, would you believe, I was so judgy about people getting surgery, so judgmental. And so I had this like inner turmoil inside. If I could train and do it a natural way, if I could do it through healthy eating, if I could do it through weight training, I would have done it, but there's really nothing you can do. It's either surgery or not. I thought about it for the longest time, and I didn't want massive boobs. This wasn't about looking like Kimmy K with big boobs. For me, this was just about restoring what I had lost. At that same time, I was so heavily immersed in this fitness and bodybuilding world that I decided I wanted to compete in bikini fitness competitions. And initially I wanted to do that because I'd come so far with my confidence and my self-love and my body image, and I was so proud of myself that I had actually stuck to this thing. Getting up on stage in a little sparkly bikini, high heels and a spray tan for me was like the epitome of getting out of your comfort zone. It's grueling workouts and diet and the hours of posing in your heels, and it takes a huge dedication in terms of my self-image, in terms of my self-love and accepting myself and being proud of myself for the first time, especially being now good at something I thought I sucked at. It was huge for me. Such a far cry from the girl who used to hide in the bathroom stalls at school while netball class was happening. But at the same time, I knew that I wouldn't feel comfortable getting up on stage in front of hundreds of people with my chest being the way it was. And I'm really sad to say this, but having a boob job as a bikini fitness competitor, it matters. People don't want to admit it. I wish it didn't, but it really does. And of course there are pros who who don't have boob jobs. If you're looking at the industry as a whole, that's why 99% of them get surgery, because you have to fit into this mold. It's a very particular looking body. It's big boobs, tiny waist, big butt. It's this like hourglass figure because sex sells. It's controversial to say, but that's all the bikini division is about. Bodybuilding was very underground and kind of like a freak show, and only guys who were into that scene were into it. And so the bikini category was brought in to just sexualize the industry and to make it more commercial so that the people at the top could market it to the masses. And I don't mean that to be offensive to bikini competitors, but it's just about making bodybuilding sexy. Hundreds of girls aspire to look that way. You only have to look at the bodies to see. You only have to see how they sexualize themselves on their social media to see that that's really all it's about. And so that's the standard benchmark, right, as a pro. And I felt like I wouldn't be good enough. I couldn't compete with them unless I did too. And so I totally fell prey to this beauty ideal, this fitness ideal within that industry. It blinded me completely. And unfortunately, like most fitness competitors who go into this very toxic bodybuilding fitness industry, it messes with your mental health. It just messes so badly with your self-image. Not only do you start scrutinizing every single inch of your body, but everyone else is doing it to each other. And worst of all the judges and the coaches do it to you, to your face. You have to be a really grounded, very secure person in yourself to go into that industry and not let it mess you up. It's all about how lean can you get, how tight are your glutes, how big are your glutes, how small is your waist. Everyone's aspiring to this pro benchmark, and it just takes it to further and further and further extremes. You end up not feeling good enough no matter how perfect you look. You only feel good about yourself for that one day that you step on stage, because the rest of the time in your off season, when you gain that healthy weight back, you just feel huge, which is ridiculous to say. And of course you're not huge at all. Unless you're in that industry, you just won't understand that. But yeah, so this is how most fitness competitors and fitness influencers end up with such damaging mental health issues, body dysmorphia, just negative self-image, exercise addiction, just disordered eating. Thankfully, I never suffered that badly with it, and I really credit that to my partner, the Viking. And he really taught me the importance of doing this as a lifestyle. That you do it because you want to feel good and be healthy above all. However, in saying that, competing and going through that whole journey, it still did affect me, and it just makes you so self-critical. I feel like this is the part where I took a step back with my self-love journey, but I recognize now that it was a very important lesson for me to learn. If you put too much emphasis on how you look rather than how you feel inside, you're going to run into issues. And immersing myself in a world where the only thing that matters and the only thing that made you worthy was looking a certain way. The toxic nature of the health and fitness industry is that it's anything but healthy, and most people are on illicit drugs to look the way they do. And it really was no longer fun or inspiring for me. It's been 7 years. And in those 7 years, I have done a lot of unlearning. And if you want to know in detail where I had it done, what my recovery was like, how I feel about it, let me know, because I'll make a part 2, because this video would be way too long. There's definitely a lot more to talk about. And if you have questions, please let me know in the comments below. Are there side effects? Are there things I wish I knew before I had it done? Has it changed my ability to do certain things? Am I worried about things like breast implant illness? It may have been that for me at the time I needed to get that surgery and have that life experience to teach me something, and I don't like to regret any decision I've made in my life because it's made me who I am today. And I don't know whether that's because I'm older, I'm approaching 40 and my priorities are different, but self-love never stops. It's not like you do the work, you get a certificate, you get to keep it for life, and then you can just sit back and do nothing. It's a continual journey, and it shifts and changes as you do as a person. You know, I'm not the same person I was when I got my surgery 7 years ago. I'm a different person. I'm constantly evolving. I'm not going to sit here and say that I've got it figured out, because I don't. And you know, I still have moments of insecurity, and I think the less we focus on external things, the happier you are inside, because changing your exterior doesn't necessarily fix that for you. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in another video. Bye.